card restoration, I think, it always has been, but for me, recently coming back into the hobby, I'm fascinated by it. And, you know, that's how we got to meet as well, because I had some cards restored with you, and you're a magician, your team's a magician.
Oh, we're not magicians, but...
Necromancers, bringing things back from the dead. But could you please talk me through the restoration process? Let's start there, and then I can jump in and ask some questions and clarifications.
Okay, well, first off, thanks for having me. I would say restoration process, maybe we'll just take it through like the client journey and how it works. Not more specific about processing on the card, but the journey, right? Everything about our journey is tailored. So a customer brings a card, or they bring 50 cards, we tailor that experience to the customer. We always start with the first question. Well, what's your goal? What's your ambition? What are you trying to do? And you know, you get 80% of these guys, they come in and they go, we want PSA 10s, or we want Beckett 10s, or we want a black label. And then we kind of go, okay, you know, we expect this question, we expect this answer, sorry. And we just bring them back down to reality. We go, look, sorry, but your card's definitely never gonna get a 10. You know, you're probably lucky to get a 6 or a 7. And with our help, we can probably push that up to an 8, 9, maybe a 9.5 at Beckett, right?
Right.
So the whole process is basically come in, we'll inspect your cards, we'll tell you honestly what is wrong with the card, and if it does need work, or it doesn't need work, or it does or doesn't need work. So from my perspective, it's always been about helping people, not just trying to make the biggest bang for buck, right? And because I'm an executive at Channel 7, I know what I'm worth and time-wise and value and all this kind of stuff.
Which I think when I first met you was such a contrasting kind of day job, and also your entrepreneurial business that you've got going on here. When you told me about that, it kind of made me go, oh, this is really cool, because I'm sure you bring a lot of those principles and things that you do within that world into how you approach even card restoration and cards, which I found really cool.
Well, you're correct, right? Everyone thinks we're just a restoration business.
Yeah.
We're actually more heavily geared towards being a tech company.
Yeah.
You know, we've got the AI grader, we own 50% of TCG calendar with Card Hub, and then we have our portal, so you can come in and scan and do all these kinds of little things that you can't get from anywhere else. And everyone's like, man, even the multi-billion-dollar corporations don't have these kinds of technologies.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely brought my whole entire background in the corporate world, in the IT world, and the tech world back into it. I think personally, it's all about transparency.
Yeah.
And this is where I was, you know, with the restoration process, it's not about making the top dollar. It's about getting an outcome that is satisfactory for the customer. Sometimes we do things to cards that, you know, people don't really like. But ultimately, it's just the same as if you scratched your car and then you got it spray painted. Do you go and tell anyone when you get it fixed? You should, but you don't. From our perspective, legally, we do declare in our statements that you should tell someone that you have gotten it fixed. But majority of people won't do that. The whole reason why the portal is so important is that you have a track record per card of what's actually been done, the timeline on the card, when we've when we've taken images, when we've done all these kinds of different things on the card. And so that is a major point in difference between us and these guys who call themselves card restorers, but they're just card cleaners. They're not really actually restorers. Massive point in difference between us and them. You know, they'll buy a kit that you can buy off the shelf from Amazon for $20 to, I don't know, $100, whereas our whole laboratory costs probably about $120,000 to $150,000.
Yeah, it's fascinating, because when you look at, I guess, public sentiment or the collector sentiment, there seems to be this back and forth on what's restoration and what's alteration, right? And there's like some polarizing views where, if you clean it or if you do certain things or you don't add anything, it's restoration. But if you paint it, you trim it, that's alteration. Like, what do you think with that whole kind of this camp, that camp? Is it all alteration? Because to your point, if you damage your car, the damage itself it's already been altered from its base state, so it's already an altered good. You know what I mean?
Well, so if you get a card and you drop it on the floor and you bend the corner up, Is it altered? 100% it's altered. If I get a drop of water and I just drop it on the card and it absorbs it, it's 100% altered.
Yep.
So this restoration, not alteration, is actually complete jack shit.
Yeah.
It's alteration 100% of the time. And for me, everything is alteration.
Yeah.
We have to alter the card to bring it back to a state that is deemed good looking, right?
Yep.
And just like a panel beater, which mind you, I did do when I was younger as well. That's one of the reasons why I got into all of this.
Yeah.
So a card is just a panel.
Yeah.
The grader isn't looking at the image on the card other than for when he's checking centering.
Yeah.
He's looking at the card as the panel. How is the panel? Is the panel have scratches on it? Does the panel have a dent on it? Does the panel have a crease on it?
Yeah.
Does it have missing ink, which means the panel has actually got a missing chunk off the card?
Yeah, yeah. That's a good way to look at it.
The graders are looking at panels. Guys are looking at what's on the card. And what us as restorers are basically panel beaters for cards.
Yeah, yeah.
For cards. So we're altering that card to bring it back to a state that makes the panel look more finished, more flush, more clean,
Yep.
more perfect, if you'd like to say, because, you know, gem tet.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah, but then also in the same vein of, I guess, process and thinking, when you see some of these cards get sent in that I've seen where they literally cut the card or trim the card or paint it, that's a bit, that at that point isn't even alteration. Would you define that almost as something different? Because alteration, I agree with you, is you're doing something to the card regardless.
I wouldn't define it as separate to alteration. It's the same thing. It's just going a level that isn't ethically there, specifically, let's say, rebinding or rebacking a card. Like stripping off the back of the card, or, you know, the 3 layers in a Pokemon card, they have 3 layers. And then to glue them back together with a different card to make it seem like a brand new card. That is, it's not even like a statutory write-off.
Yeah, yeah.
You've actually just chopped the car in half and chopped another car in half and stuck them together and welded it and then painted it and made it try to make it look good.
Yeah.
I think that's just being extremely deceitful and deceiving, and you shouldn't be going down that route. The same thing with painting a card. For me, painting a card is completely wrong, because, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I've tested it, I've tried it. I haven't tried to grade a card, but if you were to drop a piece of ink on a cotton ball, what happens to the cotton ball? It absorbs all the ink and it spreads across the card, right? Across the cotton ball. So the same thing happens to a card. You drop a little ink ball and it will bleed through and you've actually damaged the internal structure of the card. You know, whether or not we're doing that same kind of thing with a dent or a crease or not, the card was damaged to begin with. We're just trying to bring it back to an undamaged state.
Yeah, because what I really like about your business and your approach, and even the way that you communicate Card Revive, is it's all about transparency, right?
Yeah.
Because I do see a lot of individuals within the market want to do whatever it takes to the card to send it in to get the highest grade possible from a pure liquidity. You know, how can I maximize the value because I want to sell it, because they're treating it more as purely as a flipping opportunity, that kind of thing. Whereas when I look at your process, which is why I've been very happy to take some of my cards to you and get them restored, and I think you've done an incredible job, especially because those cards for me aren't meant to ever be sold or passed on to anyone else and deceive them by saying it's not restored or not disclosing it. I think the way that you approach it is the way you should approach it, but I don't feel like that's the general approach in the market. It feels like there's a lot of underhandedness there when it comes to card restoration, you know what I mean?
100%. From my perspective, I've got, 3 or 4 different types of customers. You've got the customer who comes in and just wants to get his childhood loved cards back to a state that looks really good, doesn't even care about grading, just wants to put them back in his binder, but they want to look good. Then you get the second guy who's, I'm doing this for money, I want to flip, I want to make money, I want to do this, I want to do that, and do this and do that. And then you get the other guy who's, I'd like to just have my cards in a higher grade, a higher quality. Ultimately, they're all trying to have a different story, a different outcome, but we're trying to help them. As for transparency, we're very transparent on we're going to do A and B and C to your card. We don't disclose how we do that. That's our IP. We've been doing this for 7 years. I think I think customers of ours, they really have either a passion for cardboard or they're just trying to make a quick buck. And like, if I'm going to tell you the truth, I'm in both.
Yep.
I want to make a quick buck and I want to have some cards that I love. Like, for example, I'll just show you this one.
Yeah, please do.
All right.
2 big cards.
Well, we'll show you this one first. I'll tell you the other one a little bit later.
Yeah.
So this is a first edition Lugia in a Gem Mint 9.5 PCG. And so this card
that is one of my personal grails, chases that I eventually want to own.
Yeah.
Like, this brings back a lot of memories for me.
So this is probably worth about $26,000.
That's crazy.
And I had to buy this off one of my customers. It's a long story. I don't want to get into that.
Yeah.
But I ended up paying $8,000 for this.
Yeah, wow.
And then we sent it to PCG. They graded the card and they gave it a 9.5.
Yeah, wow.
Which then takes it up to 26,000, right?
Yeah.
So those percentage returns on just something like that, it's justified having a business to do this.
Of course.
Dedicated,
Yeah.
right? What are we talking, like 400% return on investment?
Yeah.
I don't think you can even do that in the stock market.
I think at this point, Pokemon, I mean, I'm similar to you. I have a heavy investment thesis attached to both Pokemon and Magic the Gathering and certain TCGs, but I'm also trying to collect, which is why I do a lot of my grading with PCG, because even though I think they'll close that liquidity gap with the PSA and the Becketts of the world, I grade the stuff that I want to collect for PC with them. But I think at this point, because of the returns specifically over the last 6 to 8 months, it's impossible to ignore. Like, even normally very institutional investors within my day job network, they normally think about stocks, property, investing in startups, even cryptocurrency to a degree, like Bitcoin and Ethereum, not the altcoins. They're all starting to talk about Pokemon right now. And how do I get some form of exposure to it, So it's definitely there.
Well, I mean, it's definitely a form of an asset class in its own right. It's just the same as artwork.
Yeah.
We could have the Mona Lisa and someone touches it up and sells it for $500,000, $500 million, right?
That's a great, can we talk about that? So when it comes to really important, valuable, like Mona Lisas and artwork, what does restoration look like in that industry? How is that disclosed? How does that work?
So from my understanding, which mind you, I'm not an artwork expert, but from my understanding, a piece of art will go to one of these restorers. And these guys all have usually a massive history on, painting, restorations, and they perform all of the work on it, and it's all recorded and identified and all this kind of stuff. And then they basically give it a certificate or a historical report that's actually attached with the painting, not like physically attached, but whenever it's sold, it just goes around, right? It's like a compliancy thing. And so I think the same thing needs to happen with Pokemon cards.
Yeah, I think so too. Because the value of these cards are rivaling expensive pieces of art now.
Well, they are their own type of art.
Yeah.
The only reason why value comes out of these cards is because they're extremely difficult to pull, they're very hard to get, or trying to get a black label is, there's only one of them in the world.
Yeah, or the older ones are super scarce. And an argument even in the favor of Pokemon cards versus art, the high value art community is a lot nicher and smaller than the Pokemon community. So it's like so if an artwork is valued at $10 million today, it's probably only because 5 people think it's worth $10 million. Whereas if you've got, that Lugia or a base set Charizard or whatever you've got on that other slab that I'm looking forward to seeing, you don't have 5 people who think it's worth that much. There's a much larger volume of demand for these things because it's been around for a long time, strong IP, nostalgia, collector base, blah, blah, blah.
Definitely, but the other reason why people are going for the painting scenario, and it's not personal people most of the time. It's corporations
Yeah.
buying a $500 million
Yeah.
painting at what's that auction house called? I can't remember what they're called.
Yeah.
But you know, and they're doing a tax write-off.
Yeah,
basically, just writing it off, and
Yeah,
then
it's a vehicle for that.
yeah,
mainly,
they'll just sell it off to a donation company. And I think we'll end up finding that starting to happen in Pokemon in the next 5 years. I think we're still too early, but in 5 years, 2030, 2032, it's going to be really crazy. Like, I don't doubt that this card would at least double to triple in price from now to then.
Yeah.
But talking about, you know, what's underneath this card.
Yeah, sure. That's so crazy.
So that's a Pop 3 Holo Phantoms.
I don't even want to touch it, man.
Rayquaza. So this is actually a big card. In
Can
PSA,
you see that? Do we need to do a bit higher?
a bit higher? Yep. So in PSA, there's only, I think, like 53 to 56 population. At Beckett, there's only 3 of these.
Yeah.
And there's no higher grade.
Yeah, wow.
So there's only 3 of these in the world. And for me, this was a card that I picked up in a trade. I got it for cheap for like $400 or $500.
Yeah, wow.
It was damaged. It had a massive crease or an indent in the middle of the card, and we repaired the card, sent it off to Beckett, and they gave us a 9.5. You know, we also cleaned up the edges and made the card look spectacular. But I would value this, for me, as priceless.
Yeah.
If someone wants to buy it and come into my shop, they'd have to offer me something like, I don't know, 10,000 times what I paid, so like 40K.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm still probably not going to sell it.
Yeah.
Because it has a very big story behind it. It was something that I got by accident. It was, you know, it's just memorable for me. And these kind of restoration stories, they're not common, but they're not impossible. I think, you know, you got your first edition shiny Gyarados back from us, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you should talk about that one. So
yeah, I mean, for me, because we originally got it graded, my stepson and I, because we're never planning on selling that card, right? Because he pulled it. Actually, it was his uncle, so my wife's brother, who pulled it as a kid, because it's like a 25-year-old card, put it in a binder with all these other first edition stuff and old stuff, and gave it to my stepson when he was only like 6 years old. He's like 16 now. That uncle probably regrets that. Obviously, we won't be like, oh, damn, it's going somewhere good. But he's like, oh, who would have thought? And we got it graded, and it came back an 8, right? And we were super happy with that result. But when we looked at the subgrades, it was like, oh, man, like the surface is like a 7.5 or something like that, even though everything is like a 9.5. And when we originally got it graded, because it came straight from the binder, it clearly could have even benefited from a bit of a clean, if anything.
A little
right?
bit of spray and wipe, right? Like a little bit of water, right?
Yeah, something like that. So we're like, oh, you know what? And that's when we met, because I was actually referred to you, which was amazing. And I was like, you know what? I would love to see, and it's funny how you say you position yourself as a bit more of a tech company than a restoration company. That gave me the confidence to be like, I trust you with this priceless card. What could happen with it if we tried to do it? When it comes to subgrades, I don't know if everyone else is like this, because I've got OCD. When you see everything else as like a 9 or above an 8.5, and then you just have one grade that's like a 7 as the subgrade, your OCD just goes, oh man, if only don't even care what the full grade is. I just don't want to see a 7 anywhere on that thing, you know what I mean? That's what it was. And my stepson was super excited to see if he could bump up a grade, so we sent it through to you. Was not expecting the result that it came back, because it eventually came back a 9, right? From an 8, which was huge, because the surface is what you were really able to improve. And maybe you can talk through what you did to that without sharing the actual process.
I can share some stuff with that.
Yeah, because, and I thought that was incredible, because aside from the grade, which is fine, which is amazing, obviously, because we don't plan on ever selling it. Like, if anything, I've already made a deal with my stepson that eventually, when he wants to potentially sell it, because he's 16, 17 now, like say 18, 19, I promised him I would buy it from him, whatever market is, so that we can keep it, so that when I die one day, it goes straight back to him. It's like an infinite money glitch kind of thing. The card in the slab looks like better than it was before, you know, which we're super happy with. So that was an amazing experience with you. you know, and I've got some other cards that I'm restoring with you currently as well.
Yeah, you do. I can't remember which ones you do.
It was, yeah. So tell me about the Gary without disclosing IP and all that kind of stuff. Like, what did you have to do that card? Because then people who are listening can be like, oh, that's not the alteration stuff that I've been hearing about, like the crazy cutting and all that kind of stuff. What you're doing, I think, is right. You know, it's within the realm of what we deem as restoration should be.
So I found some of these, you know, little micro pits in your card, and then I think the first thing we did was we used our wax, which is a very custom wax, and then we have a little white bottle that people always ask me, what's that? And no one has been able to figure it out yet. Even I had Mal, you know, for 6 months going to me, what's in the bottle? And I go, when you guess it, I'll help you. I'll tell you when you guess it.
And who's Maui again? Just
so Mal's my second restorer. He's my second lead restorer. All of our restorers are lead restorers. You don't have to pay an extra $100 to try and get a lead restorer. We all do the same process. We all do the same things. Sure, we might have 500 million different tools, and we might end up doing slightly different modifications or different things to the card to try and get it back to where it needs to be. But ultimately, the goal and result should be the same. So we waxed your card, we used the white bottle, we then polished your card, used the white bottle, we then used a specific polish that is extremely grainy. Right, and if you're not careful with it, you will destroy your card. So we've done 30,000 plus cards. We did that, and then we used a bottle, like a specific isopropyl based bottle, but it's not fully isopropyl. It's only like 10%. It's our little blue bottle. There's probably another 6-7 chemicals inside of that bottle, and then once the cards are all cleaned up, we'll work around the edges, make sure the edges are all cleaned up, because there was all this white. And you remember how much white was no longer visible to the naked eye. So then we took that.
And explain that, because without painting and everything, how does the white go away?
Well,
Like
I'm not going to share that at all.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
Sorry.
sure.
Because everyone else is asking the same questions.
Yeah, okay.
How do you do that?
Yeah.
We just have a way of doing it whilst maintaining the dimensions and the card within specification of what a Pokemon card is, or what a sports card is, or what a thing is. It's all within the spec, right?
Yeah.
So we just make sure your card is within spec. That doesn't necessarily mean that we can't do it to every single card.
Yeah.
Like this card we did, and your card comes out of a packet and it's already a spec.
Yeah.
We just have to make sure we maintain the spec.
Right. And when you do things like cut the card or paint the card or like do weird stuff like that, that's no longer to spec, because you're literally adding things to it.
If you paint the card, you're adding to it, which is not like polishing. So, for example, polishing and then using a spray bottle and then finishing it off with, say, demineralized water. That one I'll give to everyone. Demineralized water, you should use it on your card for everything. Like. Because that will actually remove a little haziness.
It's kind of like waxing or washing your car, right? And
exactly.
Your car's not, you're just literally cleaning it.
Well, when you go to a car wash, do they have one option or they have 4 options?
Yeah.
They have 4 options, right?
Yeah.
And your car gets this paint protection and all this other thing at the end.
I think that's a really good way for people to think about it, just in terms of everyday comparison. Like if you take your car to a car wash, or if even at home you wash it, you wax it, you dry it, you spray it with water and all that kind of stuff, have you altered your car? No, you've cleaned it.
Look, remember the question you asked me at the start, is it all alteration?
Yeah.
And the answer is yes.
Sure.
And I know that because we've done so many cards and we've sent so many cards to grading, and we've looked under 200 times zoom. Like I think you saw my microscope, right?
Yeah.
No one else has anything remotely close to it.
Yeah.
So
it's like coming straight out of a biomedical engineer's lab facility.
Exactly. That's the whole point, right? So from my perspective, you're polishing and cleaning and doing all these kinds of things to make it better, but really, you are altering it.
Yeah.
So if you're buying a fixed card or a restored card, it is altered.
Yeah.
Whether or not someone wants to say it's restored, ultimately, legally, we have to say that it's altered.
Yeah.
And I feel kind of sorry for all these other guys who are starting these cleaning businesses and they're trying to compete with us and all this other stuff, because they haven't done all the legality homework.
Yeah.
They go restoration versus alteration. And legally, if anyone picks up the phone, any one of their customers pick up the phone
Yeah.
and then they call it, ACCC or anything like that,
Yeah.
and they report them, they're all going to get done for fraud. And there's actual serious jail time behind it.
I mean, it makes so much sense to me because it's like one step closer to the analogy, the comparison we were talking about high-end art and the certificate and that kind of stuff, to have something like that, because it's not like restoration is new, even though it feels like to many people it's starting to become like a bigger thing. Because do you think the technology's gotten better? That's why restoration is getting better or more, I guess, an option for people, like even everyday collectors, or has it always been the same over the last 10, 20 years?
I think they've been restoring baseball cards for 50 years, right?
Yeah, so let's jump on that, because like it's almost like ignorance is bliss. Like a lot of people are pretending they don't want to know about it, they don't care, but restoration has been around for as long as cards have been around. So why is there a slight taboo attached to it, or is there not?
No, there is definitely a taboo associated to it, but the taboo that's associated comes from purists.
Yeah.
It's generally these guys who were collecting cards before this thing blew up into mainstream. You know, we're talking specifically Pokemon, but like baseball, they've been doing it since the 80s.
Yeah.
Basketball, the 80s. It's all been done from the history, right? With Pokemon cards, it's just because in the last 10 years, it's exploded, right?
Yeah.
During COVID, we hit numbers that would never have been seen before. COVID went down. Now we're at numbers that we've never seen before, and we're slightly going down at the same time. So from my perspective, you can't go, it's taboo, because if you're willing to buy a PSA 10 or a BGS 9.5, how do you know if it's been fixed?
Yeah.
So why are you sitting there making a victim plea, or you shouldn't be able to do that, it's altered, it's tampered, it's this, it's that, when the reality is, if the grading company can't even tell, why are you so upset about it?
Yeah, exactly.
They're willing to put their name on top of the card.
Yeah.
Right? So,
which is interesting, right? Because I've seen some, whether it's been romanticized's the wrong word, but exacerbated on purpose for social media. I've seen clips or instances of people sending in a unrestored or whatever, a pure card, and it comes back saying it's been dinged for being altered from PSA or someone else.
Well, Tag does that as well. PSA does that. Beckett does that. Perfect one. PCG sent me a Super Mario Pikachu.
Yeah.
We literally forwarded it on to Beckett, and they marked the top right corner as being painted, but no one touched the cup. And so I went and got my 200 times zoom telescope and started making videos and wrote a 2-page essay and sent it to them asking for a refund, because you just charged us $400.
Yeah.
Like, you charged me $400 to give me a no grade for a little half a pixel. I can show you this thing. I'll show it to you.
Yeah.
Half a pixel little thing.
Yeah.
And that doesn't even make sense to us.
Yeah.
So they're happy to take our money. They're not happy to give us good grades all the time, because they pop control, because half of this half of their executive team has high-end cards, and so they're controlling the population. My thing back to going to, is it taboo? 100% it's taboo, but I think the market is slowly turning to, all right, we're going to grey area, and hopefully with this relationship that we've got with PCG, we can get rid of that whole grey area completely.
Yeah.
And maybe we can get some higher tiered, not higher tiered, more like the PSAs, the BGSs of the world onto our end, and then we can also support, restoration overseas and that.
Yeah, I think that would be amazing, because I totally agree with your point. If it goes through the grading guidelines of a PSA, a Beckett, a Tag, a PCG, whether it's been altered or not, right? And it's funny, I'm using the word altered because I agree with you that it's all alteration, but I know people are going to hear that word and be like, oh, they're cutting and painting cards because their definition's different.
Yeah, super glue, right? I'm a 2-year-old in a playroom.
They've almost been educated to think the two things are different, because that's what other restorers are doing to try and avoid legal issues or whatever it was. if their grading principles don't pick it up and it's all within the, what word did you use again? The scope or the something of the card when it comes out of the packet?
The specification, yeah.
Yeah, if it's all within the spec of the card, like if the graders can't pick it up, then as a collector, then you should almost, if you trust these grading companies to begin with, then the cards to spec, you know? So I think it is really important at some point, this, especially as restoration, I just see restoration growing as an industry and as a business within, and that makes sense because TCG is growing, so it's relative, it'll grow with it, that whether it becomes just accepted that cards will be restored because it's just part of it and it has always been, or whether there's a way to start disclosing cards are being restored.
The only way that disclosure is going to happen is if grading companies partner up with the likes of us or someone similar overseas or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you're saying it's going to go more mainstream. Well, of course it's going to go more mainstream, you know. I open a brand new Ascended Heroes pack and the card has a little nick on the corner.
Yeah.
Did I not pay money for a brand new item?
Yeah.
And I opened it up and I pull it out and it's not a brand new item.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it, actually.
So if I pull something that's not a brand new item, are they going to give me a refund for the card that's supposedly worth market rate at $1,200?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe they'll give me a $10 pack, but even trying to get that is going to be impossible.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting way to look at it. Like when you open something fresh, you don't necessarily expect it to be a 10 because you know the centering might be off or something like that. But if there's damage to the card,
then
in every other consumer good, when it comes to this kind of stuff, maybe not cards and stuff like that, but if you buy something and it's damaged or it's not working, you generally get a refund or you get it replaced. Whereas with packs of cards, it's different because it's pull rates and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly, you can't really replace it, right?
Yeah, nor would you want to because you get a pack that probably has nothing in it.
and then it kind of kills your joy. You know, you pull, I hit this Mega Dragonite, right? And then you look at it and you're like,
I think Jordy had an experience like that, didn't you? You pulled a really good Final Fantasy card and then it was nicked or something.
My Sephiroth had a nick in it.
yeah. He just pulled a Commander Sephiroth card from his Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering pack. And he's like, yeah, and then he was like, oh shit, there's a giant, nick on
it just went from I feel like $1 million to now I'm like back down to reality.
Yeah,
and you're like, all right, I still got the card. Yeah,
I think that's important, man. Like, which is why this conversation is important because it's all about perspective, right? People are frogging a well. They're like, oh, you changed the card. No, I don't like that. To okay, well, let's look at this in a proper way and look at the different angles of perspective. Because I would find it really interesting, and it probably would take time. If market value, if you had probably most people wouldn't, but if you had purist collectors, they'd be like, I'd rather have the slab that says it hasn't been altered, than the slab that has disclosed it's altered. I value this one higher, even though there's a very high chance that this has been altered. But it just went through the grading process and it's been spec, and all they have done is they haven't disclosed it, whereas this one has. It's like...
So you know, it's funny he's saying that, right? Because remember I said it comes through us. And you remember, you brought me some cards and I told you this one doesn't need work, this needs work, this is what we need to do, right? So if I'm saying that this card doesn't need work and I'm sending it off to the grading company, and they're putting my logo on it. Yeah. Doesn't that also mean that you've had a separate pair of eyes tell you that the card is good enough? Yeah. So I get what you're saying, where you're saying, because it's got a logo on it, it's going to devalue it. But that's only perspective.
Yeah. And I don't mean it in the sense that that's what I think. I just think it's like when you get to a point where even, say, the PSAs of the world or whatever suddenly start having a restored logo on a slab versus a slab that doesn't, I wonder what the market's going to value those two at, whether it's right or wrong. You know what I mean?
100%.
Even though we all know that, especially if it's some of the older stuff, and you get some of the higher grades, which are hard to get, especially Wizards of the Coast style, I think a lot of those cards, when I see a new Assert first edition thing, I'm like, that has been like a 4 or a 5 that's been cracked and like brought back to life, resubmitted, and now it's coming back as a 7 or 8. That's why you've got a new Assert.
Well, we got like a little bit of an inside joke at our laboratory. Yeah. It's like, you know, half of the purists probably have 3 of our cards in the collection.
Yeah.
You know, and I actually saw one guy was like, oh yeah, this is all bad what you're doing, and then he went and bought a card, and we knew the certain numbers because we obviously the middleman as well. Yeah. And I messaged the guy who sold it to him. I'm like, oh, so who's laughing now?
Yeah.
You know.
It does feel like that.
So you're gonna end up buying cards that have come through us in Australia. 100%, someone is gonna buy a card that came through us.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, you shouldn't treat it differently. It's at the end of the day, it's just cardboard.
Yeah.
It's just cardboard. It's a panel, and there's just a printed front, and there's a printed back.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
There's older cards, you know, the newer certs. It's impossible. I'm telling you, it's near impossible to pull a card out of a pack and get a 10 these days from PSA. I do know it does happen, but generally these cards are getting worked on to get that PSA 10. I remember there was one of my friends was doing a live stream on TikTok, and they were doing a base set 2 booster pack rip. He ripped it, they pulled the Charizard base set 2, and they're screaming, going off, and I'm in there and I'm being a party pooper.
Yeah.
I'm like, PSA 10, all this other stuff the guy's saying, and I messaged him, no, it's a PSA 7.
Yeah.
And so they sent the card off to PSA, came back a PSA 7. The funny thing is the guy who owned the pack, who pulled the card, actually got my phone number off, it was Pokéverse, that's right, Pokéverse Charlie, and then he gave me a phone call.
Yeah.
And he goes, Bill, do you reckon we can do something to this? And I go, look, just send it over and I'll tell you an honest opinion. It's not going to cost you nothing, because back then I wasn't charging inspection fees.
Yeah.
So we looked at the card and I go to him, I think we can do something to this. And I believe I spent 2 days or something roughly finishing it off.
Yeah.
And then picked up the phone, called him up. It was 11:30 at night, because I used to work from 9:30 a.m. to 4 in the morning when I was backlogged. And
also working full time at Channel. Channel News.
So doing multiple different things, right? Called up Luke at 11:30 at night, and I go to him, hey dude, you're gonna listen to me? And actually, I was actually like swearing at him.
Yeah.
Because I was so excited. But I was telling him, listen, you're gonna listen to me. You're not gonna think. You're not gonna do anything. You're not gonna do what your brain tells you. Just listen to me and do not do anything else.
Yeah.
He goes, okay, what do you want? I go, you're not sending the card to PSA. We're gonna send it to Beckett. And I'm gonna give it to you, just forward it on. Don't do anything else. So I remember I had a black mailer, put it in there, sent it to him. He goes to me, he didn't even repackage, he didn't even look at the card, didn't even take it out of the packaging. He just put it in the box and sent it straight to BGS.
Yeah.
I think it was 3 or 4 weeks later, because he did the highest level. Gives me a phone call and he goes, Bill, I can't believe it. I go, what happened? He goes, I got on Gem Mint 9.5, 9.5, 9.5, 10, 10 on the card. This was a PSA 7 that we just turned into a 9.5. And so back then, I think the card was in a PSA 7 was worth like $1,100 to $1,500.
Yeah.
And then he had gotten back an $11,000 card.
Yeah, wow.
You know, he had just made 1,000% return on investment at his card.
Yeah, wow.
And so he sent me a tip and he was like, thank you very much. I'm very happy with everything. And then I go to him, what are you going to do? He goes, I'm going to keep it. And then as these usual guys, we're going to keep it. 4 weeks later, it was on the market for sale. Right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
And yeah, it was on eBay. But
so why did you go Beckett, not PSA for that one? Do you have, because you're clearly an expert, an understanding of the way that they would look at the card, which is why you thought Beckett was the better fit?
Beckett tends to be slightly more lenient to vintage cards. They actually grade cards for the era or the year that they created it.
Right.
Whereas PSA grade a Pokemon card exactly the same.
Interesting. That makes a lot of sense to like kind of look, because modern cards, whether it's printer presses or they're, you know, better quality or something like that, better quality is probably the wrong word, but they're very different to the vintage ones.
They are very different. This is, mind you, just from my experience grading so many
Which is
cards.
valuable because, you've put in
Well, I've got the feedback, right?
Yeah,
and that's everything.
exactly.
A lot of these guys don't have the feedback.
Yeah, even doing it for...
They use a third party to grade their cards, and then they just the third party ships it straight to the customer.
Yeah.
It's like, mate, you just lost all this data, all this entry, all this kind of information that would make you an animal at what you're doing.
Well, this is your tech job coming in, because you appreciate data and the insights that you can pull from that.
Well, that's the thing. We can we can pull little bits of info to make something that's streamlined, very heavily tailored. Because everything is tailored, right? Do you remember when I called you up?
Yeah.
So everything's heavily tailored and to get the guy or to get the customer the best possible numerical grade. We're not talking about value.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of guys who push back, no, I only want PSA. Oh, no, I only want BGS. Or no, I only want CGC, or whatever it is, right? And ultimately, you know, a lot of these guys, they just want to do what they want because of the OCD. They got their collection in this card, and
they don't want to change the grades.
And it's like,
the brand.
you're kind of hindering yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you could just as easily take that card, send it to a company, get a mad result, sell it for higher, and buy the other card. You know what I mean? Like you're just hindering your strategy, because ultimately all of this, if you're in Group B, which is, you know, the guys I was saying are flippers, then you're just hindering your returns. Just because BGS Black Label is worth more than a PSA 10, or a Gold Label is worth more than a PSA 10, a Beckett 9.5 is definitely worth more than a 9. So why would you try and go for the lotto rate at a 10 when you've already got a card that was a 7? Why not just be happy with the 2.5 point upgrades?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, man. So if Beckett does it by error, what do you think about the older vintage stuff and the Wizards of the Coast cards that make it a bit harsher to modern day cards? What's the difference in, is it the way that they're printed? Is it?
So generally on the back of the cards, and I'm going to talk about Pokemon, right? Because that's the whale in the room, the elephant in the room, right?
Yeah.
So on the back at the Poké Ball, right next to the first white sun glare, or whatever you want to call it, right underneath there is generally missing ink.
Right.
And that comes straight out of packet. And so every card looks like a Gem 10. It looks like a Gem 10. But PSA go, no, it's not.
Yeah,
it's an 8.
Even though that's technically a print defect, it's almost like a shadowless card is like.
Yep, it's extremely difficult to see.
So why would PSA acknowledge shadowless and not ding it for the shadowless if that's a defect per se, but something like that if they know is a thing?
Because again,
a bit different.
It's a panel.
Right.
Shadowless is just a print.
Got it.
Whereas the panel with the missing white is actually missing pieces of the panel.
Right. So a Beckett from your data, they know that that's a.
They know
thing.
that that's a part of the thing.
Yeah, interesting.
So if you have something that gets a 10, like even this one got a 9.5.
Yeah.
On the surface.
Yeah.
And if you can find anything off the surface, I'll congratulate you.
Yeah.
Right. But even that got a 9.5.
That's really interesting.
So they accept it for the error.
Now, I've got a question for you that I'm personally curious, because I collect, even though I'm mostly in Magic the Gathering and Pokemon, when I've opened some Gundam cards, even some Lorcana, some Dragon Ball, you know, Pokemon, Magic.
Yep.
Are certain cards from different TCGs better cards to grade? So a 10 in that card is more common than a Pokemon card or whatever, just by design. It's just easier, because sometimes I see cards get pulled, whether it's Lorcana or something else, and everyone seems to be getting 10s, and I'm like, is it just easier for that specific TCG to get a high grade because of the way the card's printed or designed, and now we all have to think differently when it comes to a grade specific to a certain TCG or not? If that makes sense.
You're saying, like, if I get an 8, it's rarer than a 10.
Almost, like, you know, like...
It definitely makes sense. Like,
because a 10's not a 10, I mean, a 10's a 10, like, don't get me wrong, but when you see a PSA 10, it should mean something different, or a Beckett 10 or a PCG 10, it should mean something different, whether it's Magic, Pokemon, Lorcana, blah, 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 because it might be easier to attain that within certain, especially modern TCGs than others. You know what I mean?
Well, look, it's a valid question, and some cards are definitely easier to grade because they're made in different manufacturing companies, and they're cut differently, or they're painted differently, or they're printed differently, or something's done differently to them. But going back to the point, right, PSA, you know, there are specific sports cards like Kabooms or something like that. I can't remember which ones, but I remember working on them, and then we sent them off, and they would have a print line running down the middle, and you go look at all the PSA 10s, and they all have a 10. And they have this print line defect from factory, right? And the reason why they have 10s is it's a known defect from the factory for that print run.
Right.
So they've acknowledged it and said that there's never going to be a 10, right? Unless we give it a 10.
Right. So rather than dinging it and giving it a 9, they've accepted it. But unfortunately, in contrast, when it comes to some of the older Wizards of the Coast Pokemon cards, known defect, the missing ink on the back of the Poké Ball, but that's not accepted as a factory line defect on a
It's
Kaboom
not
card.
because you can pull a card that doesn't have it.
Right. Okay.
But majority of them do.
Got it.
So I'll tell you why.
I see what you
I'll tell you
mean.
why
Yeah,
these
yeah,
things
yeah.
happen.
Okay.
Generally, a packet sits in a cold room or a storeroom or a warehouse, and it's been sitting there, and it's under humidity. It's either higher humidity or lower humidity.
Right.
And then when you get the pack, you rip the card open, you pull the front card off the back card. Now you are not feeling anything, but the card is actually just ever so slightly stuck to the front or the back.
Got it.
And you've now pulled off the ink
Yeah, got it.
from between two cards.
Got it. And
Even though it looks perfect, it looks flawless. Like the card
Yeah.
looks flawless, it still gets an 8.
Yeah, see, this is the kind of stuff I think people watching and listening would find fascinating, because they to the naked eye, they're like, oh, I got a 10. And if they don't get a 10, they're like, I don't fucking trust these graders, or fuck them, because they're screwing me. Someone just had a bad day or didn't have their coffee, because it's still humans grading at the end of the day. So I'm going to resubmit till I get the 10, and sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But I feel like those stories, when they circulate, makes everyone feel like they're a grading expert to the naked eye and think they deserve it. But they don't realize the stuff that you're sharing, like little bits of ink.
It's all these little things. Like I remember selling a card, and I put 3 cards in front of it and 3 cards behind it, and I wrapped it up and I sent it to the bloke. The guy wrote me a one-star eBay review.
Yeah.
And I go, dude, he goes to me, you put cards in front and the back of the card. I go, when you pull out of the pack, don't you have cards in front of it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think he deleted it after a week.
Yeah.
But it's all these little things that people don't really think about.
Yeah.
That make the differences on a card.
Yeah.
You know, you got one little white ding on the top right corner of your card, it can still get a 10.
Yeah.
You got 2, you're not getting a 10.
Right.
You know, you look at your center and you go, oh, my card is very well centered. But then if you look at the cards under, a microscope, or you look under a measuring tool, people are going in the middle and they're measuring top to bottom in the middle and left to right in the middle. But grading companies don't do that. They grade on the quadrants. So you should be actually doing 8 points, top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right, and seeing if it's actually rotated.
Yeah, right.
Once it's rotated, you're getting a 9.
Yeah, right.
Even if it's rotated by, say, half a mil.
Yeah.
You know, you asked me about, do you think the machineries have gotten better?
Yeah.
Well, not really. These guys are all using like toothpicks and things and clamps to make things better, right?
Yeah.
It's only when it's like when you come into the laboratory and you're actually allowed in the back, you get to see the amount of different tools that are at our disposal, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think these guys are all just starting out in their restoration journey. They might be there around for 5-6 years.
Yeah.
I've been here for 7. You're not there until you keep pushing the boundaries.
Yeah.
And like, it's the same thing as I'm performance tuning a car, except I'm not performance tuning a car. I'm performance tuning a piece of paper, a piece of cardboard. How do I get that thing to its ultimate best?
Man, I think the stuff that you have shared is pretty awesome, because it's from your experience and everything that you've done. This has been really great. This has been really cool. I could talk to you for another hour, but I think we're going to end it here.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because I think we've been talking for a while. Like over an hour now, man.
That's okay.
It feels like, but this has been amazing. And thank you for bringing these in. Like, I'm too scared to touch them because they're incredible.
It's fine, yeah.
Yeah, but it's so cool. So cool.
Yeah, and that's ours as well. That's the slab holder the card survives.
Yeah. But thank you so much for your time, man, and coming in to have a chat. And I'm sure we'll do another one in the coming months as well.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
it's
man.
been a pleasure,
Yeah.
and I'm sure I ranted on for a while.
It was good. It was good. I think we need more of this, because like everyone's like scared to just talk about it. I feel like holding it close to the chest, or if they do talk about it, it's in a 30-60 second clip. Like, let's just put some put some truth out there. And
And you know me, I don't really do the whole social media. I stopped doing it. I just like, let you guys do it.
yeah.
I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Because I'm over this before and after stuff. I've got so many before and afters. I could flood the market with 5 million of these before and afters. I would rather have something that's more real.
Yeah.
And I think this was real. So
Yeah,
I
it was.
really appreciate you having me on here.
No, thank you, man. I appreciate it too. And I'm looking forward to seeing some more of your cards later, but thank you.
Now we'll do this again, I reckon.
Yeah, for sure. I think that was good. That's good, Jody, right? Awesome.
Awesome. I probably mumbled a couple.
No, you did great, man. You did great. I think you did awesome. That was really good, man. I think that
Yeah.
was really good.